nonsense, off topic, dealing with imaginary things like Antifa.
Wow, so there you go. My next guest is a former member of that imaginary thing. He looks like a real guy to me, a former Antifa member. He says ignoring the group, like what Nadler is doing, only allows the threat they pose to this country, obviously, to multiply. Gabriel Nadler joins me now. Gabriel, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Now you do look like a real person. It's certainly not imaginary. I come from that side of politics, though, as a community organizer, and I know when the effort is to pretend that something doesn't exist, it's so that we won't deal with it. What do you think will happen with this kind of attitude? Is this send a message to Antifa that they are supported, or how will they respond to this?
Well, let's look at what Representative Nadler is literally saying. He's saying that this is imaginary. Well, that's just false. I mean, the only thing that's imaginary here is Representative Nadler's sense of justice. I mean, the protests I attended, they weren't imaginary. Also, the windows that I regrettably broke, they weren't imaginary. Yet every single time that we have left-wing politicians like Representative Nadler deny and ignore and even justify Antifa violence, it's only going to continue to grow.
See, this is, I think, why we see all of this chaos growing, because there hasn't been any reaction. In and of itself, it's as though none of this is happening.
They're petulant children.
Law enforcement, leadership is not condemning
They're
it.
trying to get
it's
attention.
Light. Now, you were a member. I was a member.
From father
of organizations
figures
I
like
know.
Trump.
One of the great things about America is we get enough information to where we can change our minds about who we are and what we're doing. Is that what happened with you when it comes to the choice to be a part of that and now to be condemning it?
Yeah, I mean, before I even joined what's called Antifa, I was already indoctrinated by a lot of my teachers and as well as Spanish media, and I was preconditioned to believe that America was my enemy. Not because America rejected me, but because I kept being told that I was a victim. Thankfully, I started asking questions about this movement, and then really, just like you said, I got the information that I needed, and I realized that being part of Antifa is something that I should never been part of. And now I'm glad that I'm condemning it. But one thing to remember is, where is Antifa really coming from? Because Mr. Nadler thinks that it's imaginary. Well, it's coming from oftentimes from college campuses.
Sure.
I mean, there's a professor out there who wrote a book called Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. And then there's also so many other professors that promote this type of violence.
And Gabriel, we know we're all kind of living on campus now, and we ignored it at that point, and now it's, of course, moving into a mainstream element of the nation. But for leadership in Washington to say that it doesn't even exist shows you, I think, also that they are worried if it is exposed. So I want to thank you, Gabriel, for joining me tonight. Thank you very much for your insight. I appreciate it. Now, coming up, the Ingram Angle has already exposed how the 1619 Project is poisoning our education system. But tonight, we have shocking new details about the project's creator and the toxic hate that she's been spreading for years. Do not go away. We'll be right back.